Well, how about that? The Bulls stunned the Grizzlies. They were down 23 at one point, come back to win the game. I wrote them off. I turned over to the women's basketball game and looked at ESPN. I saw they were winning. Couldn't believe it. Bulls beat the Grizzlies. Now they basically are locked into a play-in spot. They need one more thing to happen. We'll tell you what that is on today's episode of Believe in Bulls here on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. I'm your host, Nick Schultz, alongside my partner, former Bulls bench mob member and Tennessee Vol, C.J. Watson. CJ, that was a really good game from the Bulls responding to adversity. Like I said, I wrote them off. Big win at a good time.
Yeah, it came big. They have some more. They have some more. They're showing us that they have some more fight in them. Definitely down 14 or 15 points, and coming back to get a win at home is definitely big for their confidence.
Yeah, and the Pat Bev effect is still real. Kobe White talked about that after the game, and man, he's playing at a really, really high level. It's going to make for an interesting conversation here in the coming weeks. Before we dive into any of our conversation, I'm going to tell you about our friends, BetOnline.ag. BetOnline is your number one source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds, news, and info for everything March Madness and NBA this year. From the Final Four National Championship to the NBA playoffs, BetOnline is your sports information headquarters this season. If you love sports info, scores, news, and podcasts, you can find everything at BetOnline. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Major League Baseball is also underway. If you're crazy enough to bet on the Cubs and the White Sox to win the World Series, be my guest. You can bet on all of that at BetOnline. What are you waiting for? Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV to get that bonus at BetOnline. It's where the game starts. By the way, I'm declaring my Twitter a Dansby Swanson Stan account because he is red hot right now for the Cubs, who are not red hot right now. They dropped the series to the Brewers. Anyway, also, we have an official t-shirt of our show. I actually wore it today. I'm proud of myself for remembering to wear it. Jordan
Nice.
Pippen 98, The Last Dance, shop.believe.com. There's a lot of great stuff there as well. I just got some stuff in the mail today that I will debut on Thursday. May or may not be a new coffee cup I didn't need. All of that at the Believe shop. It's a great way to support all the shows on the network. But this is our official t-shirt, Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance, shop.believe.com. If you want one, the link is in my Twitter and Instagram bios. So as I said, Bulls come back. They were down 23 at one point. They won the game by 21, 128 to 107. This was not like they came back and won at the buzzer. They came back from 23 down and won convincingly. It's what we've been calling for the last 75 games. It's happening. For this to be happening right now, to have the most exciting win of the year, in my opinion, they're rolling. They look good.
Yeah, they look real good. Like you said, coming down and showing the fight. Everyone getting involved. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, bench was great. Played with a lot of energy. I felt like Kobe White is still playing at a high level. I just think for me personally, I think it's got to find some more scoring from that point guard, two guard spot, and with Pat Bev and Caruso. So I think once they figure that out, try to even out the scoring there, I think that they'll be fine and look to make some noise in the play-in tournament.
Yeah, Caruso's still dealing with that foot. I think that's kind of bothering him a little more than he might be letting on.
Yeah.
But he's Alex Caruso. He's going to want to be out there. He
Right.
could his foot could be falling off, and he'll want to be out there. Like that's his type
Yeah.
of mentality. So he's looking fine, I think, all things considered. But I agree, a little more production on the offensive end. If you can get it done on the defensive end, you can help yourself in a lot of ways. Your Vols knew about that this year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Defense helps, and you know that from playing for Tibbs too.
Yeah. It only takes you so far though. You got to be able to score the
Right.
ball. Nowadays in basketball, you don't want to put the pressure or that much pressure on your big three on Vooch and DeMar and Zach. So just want to try to give them a little bit of scoring just to ease a little bit of that pressure.
And that's what Kobe White's been doing. He is playing really well on both ends of the floor. He's proving to be a really good passer. That's something he focused on this offseason. And, defense is coming along as well. And he even said playing with Patrick Beverley is going to help you with that. He's been in his ear. He dropped 19 points. He was plus 18, 8 for 13 from the floor, 2 for 5 from 3. He also had 6 rebounds and 4 assists. He's proving he can do it all. It just makes that discussion about his contract situation even more interesting for a team that's looking for shooting. You have it in your backyard if you want to go get it.
Oh yeah, it's right. It's right there. And he's definitely showing you that he's capable. To me, the biggest highlight is his rebounds. He's showing he can rebound the basketball and be a playmaker, finishing in transition, which I love that he did yesterday. So it's definitely a good sign. And the Bulls front office is going to have a big task to decide if they want to keep him or not.
And you got 4 games to really figure it out before the play-in. So here's the scenarios going into yesterday. We were trying to decipher this before we started recording, so I'm just going to say screw it and read it anyway. So yesterday, the Bulls needed what felt like a million things to happen, and 900,000 of them happened. So this is the scenarios going into yesterday. The Bulls would be locked into a play-in game. If they won, check. If the Nets won, check. A Wizard loss, check. A Pacers loss, check. And an Orlando loss. Well, the Magic won their game. So as I understand it now, with 4 games left, if I'm reading that right, if the Magic lose or the Bulls win, they're in. So they're not quite locked into a playoff spot or play-in spot, but it's close enough to where we can start maybe looking ahead a little bit, as we can. The players can't. They're going to stay one game at a time.
Right. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can maybe
Yeah.
start looking ahead a little bit and start thinking, okay, there's going to be a few more games after game 82.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You definitely got to stay locked in as a player. You don't want to look too far ahead of the schedule, and just just take it for what it's worth. And you have a chance to get that 10th spot and maybe more, maybe 9. So just go in and just keep playing this brand of basketball that you're playing. And the most important thing, just win games. That's the biggest thing right now is just winning these games.
Now, I want you to be honest with me, because I hear this all the time. I hear it a lot when I covered college and the NCAA tournament. We take it one game at a time. We're not looking ahead.
Yeah.
This time of year, if you're on that border there, you watching the standings?
For sure, yeah, you definitely are watching the standings. Like I said, if you don't win these games, you could be out of that playing spot. Getting ready for a vacation with your family. So you definitely want to keep playing, but take it one game at a time if you can. But like I said, just stay focused on that and stay focused on playing a good brand of basketball, being confident, and everyone just playing their role right now.
So despite the coach speak, there is a balance there in terms of, like, you can look ahead a little
Yeah,
bit if you want, but you got
yeah,
to
yeah.
keep your eye on the ball, right?
For sure, yeah. There's always a balance. You always look ahead. It's just human nature. I mean, we try to stay focused on the present, but the future is so uncertain. So you always want to try to look forward to that future.
I covered Porter Moser for 5 years, and I could not get him to even break a little bit. I'm looking ahead a little more. It's like, no, we're staying focused. We're playing Miami.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to play Tennessee next. We're locked in on them. Like, you can't tell me you're not looking ahead a little bit. He's
Yeah,
like, no, we're locked
yeah.
in. I'm like, all right, it's coach speak. Like, I am.
Right, yeah.
I say I'm bilingual. I'm fluent in English and coach speak and
Yeah,
sarcasm.
yeah.
So, like, I got a few clubs in my bag. But
Right,
like,
yeah.
for us, we can look ahead. Like, right now, there's Atlanta and Milwaukee coming up back to back. It's not going to be easy to get to 500 right now. They're 2 games under.
Yeah,
I want to get back to 500, but
yeah.
if they don't, they don't. You're basically locked into a play-in spot. I want them to be 500 going into the play-in. Ifs and wants were candy and nuts, whatever. The ifs and buts were candy and nuts, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
at least go be competitive like this. And the fact that they're not quitting and they're coming
Yeah.
back from these big games, that bodes well when you're going up against tough competition in the coming days.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But definitely you want to shore that up, I think, a little bit. Try not to get down so much in the
Oh,
first and
please
second
don't do
quarters.
another 20-point
Yeah.
comeback in the coming
Yeah, you
days. You're going to
can't.
wear yourself
Yeah,
out.
yeah, you can't do that, especially in playoff basketball and in the playing tournament, really, because that one game you could be down by 20, and next thing you know,
Right.
you try to come back, you can't come back. So you don't want to get used to coming back. It's definitely great that they came back and fought back, but you want to try, shore that up, come out, be aggressive from the start, and can't let that carry you off for 48 minutes.
4 games left. They're home against Atlanta Tuesday. Second half of a back-to-back in Milwaukee on Wednesday on national TV. You know how much I love when they play on national TV. Then they
Yeah,
come back. They go to Dallas on Friday and play the Mavericks, who, interesting situation ongoing. And then they close out the season at home against Detroit. One note on the Mavericks from Shams said today on FanDuel. He said that Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving might be shut down for the rest of the season. He's hearing that's a possibility. Don't know if it's going to happen, but it sounds like that's going around that might happen. So if that's the case, the one I see them losing is Milwaukee, and I'll happily be wrong. They've done it to me 3 times this year. I'll happily be
yeah.
wrong if they beat Milwaukee, but 3-1 to close out the year. Guess what? You're over 500.
Yeah, that's right where you want to be. For me, like I said, I don't really care about the record going into the playing tournament. I just want them to be playing confident, be playing a good brand of basketball. Everyone, contributing offensively and defensively, and just everyone just playing their role. And like I said, just going to that playing tournament, having belief in their system and what works and what doesn't work, and going in there and win 2 games.
Actually, I can't do math. 3-1 gets them to 500. By the way, I was a communications major. I can't do math.
It's all
It's the
right.
old joke about journalism majors. You can't do math. But I wish I was wanting 500 for monetary gain, and like I had a bet on the over under wins. It's a pride thing. I just want to just get to 500. No
Yeah.
under 500 years, because that's going to be one of those things you hear about. Oh, they finished under 500. It's a narrative thing. I just don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
I get tired of hearing that stuff. It's been an up and down year. I don't don't end on the down of, oh, they were under 500, but they made the play-in tournament. They were still under 500. There's
Yeah.
a balance you've got to find, and I just don't want to hear the nonsense part of it.
Yeah, it's always hard, when you get under 500 and go to the play-in tournament and make it to the playoffs, and then lose the first round. I always have that talk, but like I said, I think just playing that good brand of basketball, being confident, moving the ball from side to side, and just trying to, kind of really get Vooch going so he can be confident going into the playoffs because you're really going to need him going into the playoffs.
Oh yes, oh yes, and like I said, they're in the driver's seat here. They basically control their own destiny. Go win, or I guess hope for a magic loss if you want, and you're in. So then you're going to keep playing after game 82. And I want to look ahead a little farther, like bigger picture, because there's a new collective bargaining agreement coming down the road that we want to talk about. They announced this deal at 3 o'clock in the morning Saturday. So that was about midnight out by you, but by me, the tweet came over at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was wondering when my phone was blowing up at 2 a.m. with notifications from Shams and Woj because a new CBA is coming down the pipe. And there's a lot of changes here. Shams laid it out pretty well at The Athletic, everything that's coming down the pipeline. There's a lot to it, and it's a mixed bag. I feel like there's a lot of good. This in-season tournament, let's start there. It's going to be an in-season tournament beginning in 2023-24. That's next season. Winning team gets $500,000 per player. The championship's going to be played at a neutral site. Woj said Vegas is an option, so you might be able to go to that. But nice. The idea of an in-season tournament, to me, they do it in the WNBA. I think it's entertaining, to say the least.
Yeah.
For the NBA, from a player standpoint, what do you think?
Wait, did you say 500,000 per player? The winning team?
500,000 per player is what it says here.
Sheesh, that's a lot of money. But hey, I wish I was playing now.
Yeah, right.
Right. But I think it's great. It's definitely going to be good for the sport, for the brand of basketball to continue to grow. And like I said, I know the women do it, and they have a lot of fun with it. And it's a bigger incentive for them to make more money because their contracts aren't as big as NBA players. But I definitely think it's something to continue, like I said, just the brand of basketball and be more competitive for the players.
And if they can bring this neutral site thing to other cities too, I think that would be good. Yeah. I still want a team back in Seattle. I'm not going to shut up about that, but that's in the past, I guess. But that might be coming. You never know. But there's more to this. This in-season tournament is one of the on the court things too. Off the court, it's interesting because NBA players are going to be allowed to invest in NBA and WNBA teams, and there's a equity firm involved in that. NBA PA is going to be involved. There's also going to be players going to be able to promote or invest in betting and cannabis companies. And on that same note, players are no longer going to be penalized for using marijuana. And you've got to play 65 games to be eligible for the MVP and all NBA teams. Players attending the combine are going to need to undergo physical exams. And there's a bunch of salary cap stuff that I'm not going to get into right now because it's a lot of inside baseball. And it's for us, we'd understand it. But the average listener, I'm not sure they grasp it all. And we only have so much time on the show, too. So the one I want to point to, and this is going to tie into something we talk about later in the show, investing in NBA and WNBA teams. That sounds really good for the WNBA.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's big for players to be able to tap in some of that wealth and be able to invest in team, maybe the team that they play for, but also maybe other teams that they've maybe always been a fan of. Then also WNBA, I think it's a great way to grow women's sports again. And I definitely know if I was playing, I would definitely want to invest in a WNBA teams. I love basketball. One day, hopefully, maybe I'll be a minority owner of some team or maybe a GM. So I definitely think it's pretty cool that they have the option to do that if they want to.
That's a tease right there. But, the idea of this, LeBron James, let's use the example of LeBron James. If he wants to invest in the LA Sparks, could you imagine how much more exposure the LA Sparks are going to get because LeBron James is a part owner? Like, that's just the first example that comes to mind. That's not the only one I'm thinking of. That's the biggest name in one of the biggest markets, I'd say.
Yeah, it's going to definitely help grow the women's game. And I know that they've been complaining about maybe not having as much support from the NBA and stuff like that. But now I think they're going to get it. And I think, just NBA players in general always support WNBA, but it's going to be on a whole nother scale with them being able to invest and be able to see put their money where their mouth is and actually, go out and support these women.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that even in Chicago, let's say DeMar wants to get in with the Sky or something, that's just first name that comes to mind. Again, I'm just hypotheticals here. I'm going off the top of my head. It's really good for the women's game. And you mentioned it earlier, like growing the women's game. you just saw the women's Final Four turn in the biggest viewership numbers it's ever had. And I know because I wrote the
Yeah.
story. Like
Right.
it's everybody's tuning in, and women's sports are huge. I mean, my sister is a female athlete. You've got a daughter who's a female athlete. Like
Yeah.
it's growing fast, and this is a huge way to take that next step, and increase payrolls and
Yeah.
charter flights, all this
Yeah.
stuff to me. And it's a lot bigger picture than that. Like I'm
Yeah.
I'm oversimplifying it right now,
Yeah.
but this is the first of many steps to grow the women's game.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think there's just so many things that the women's game doesn't have that the men's game has, and we need to get the women's game there. I think, and this is like I said, just a little stepping stone to getting them there and getting all the women excited about, and not just women but men excited about watching women's sports, but not just watching but supporting them. Being there, being an advocate for them, and I think that's what more NBA players need to do.
And this is not the biggest thing, in my opinion, from this CBA. It's really big. Don't get me wrong. But the biggest one to me, the one that's going to make like the biggest impact, you hear a lot about load management right now. Look, Kawhi Leonard is the biggest example right now. They held him out of the second half because he wanted to play in the second half of the back-to-back, so they held him out the second half because of the knee. Players now have to play 65 games to be eligible for the major league awards. Salute. And that includes WNBA or WNBA. I'm on wrong part. That includes the MVP and the all NBA teams. Like all these awards, you've got to play 65 games to be eligible for.
Yeah,
And I went back through just a quick look like at Giannis and Jokic. They played more than 65 games to be eligible for those outside of the pandemic years, which were weird. But what do you think of that? Having to play so many games to be eligible for MVP?
I think it's great. You definitely want to be awarded. I mean, you can't be awarded. Even if you are killing it in the 50, 60 games you play, you got to be out there in the court for your team and for fans, because fans want to see you play. So it's definitely an incentive, because I know it's incentive in your contract. If you get a MVP or all NBA team, it's a lot of money that they get. So you definitely want to be on the court and trying to make your team better, but also trying to get those awards. So I definitely think it's a great number to be at. It's not too high, it's not too low. I feel like it's kind of just right in the middle.
I agree with that. And I'd have more worries about it if Jokic played 63 games last year and won
Yeah,
MVP. If Giannis played 60 games outside of the pandemic years in there, that's weird. You had shortened seasons; those don't count. If you had
yeah,
guys playing that regularly, I think this would be an even bigger deal. You haven't seen this happen. It sounds like one of those things to just kind of preventative measure is
right.
how I look at it. And I just think that's going to make the biggest impact because you're going to see some of the bigger names play even
Yeah.
more to be eligible for those awards.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like I said, they definitely want to be in those bragging rights of being on the All NBA team or All Star team and stuff like that. So I know guys are going to play more now. They're going to get their rest in the summertime, train, recover like LeBron does. $1 million for recovery during the season. So I think guys are going to take it more serious and be on the court more.
Yeah, and like I said, the other stuff here, not being penalized for using marijuana, that's huge for like the drug testing program. It sounds like they've kind of started doing away with that. This is just kind of the official, hey, we're done with it. I know what happened
Right.
in the bubble. And being able to promote or invest in betting companies, that's a big deal too. But the way I read that right now is you can have Zach Levine partner with Bet Online, something like
All right.
that. Like, and I'm using Bet Online because they sponsored the show. Believe promo code 50% welcome bonus, shameless plug. But you
Right.
can have those types of deals to me, and how that you're going to have people say our game's going to be rigged because you've got guys partnering with these betting companies. I don't know if you're going to see that. I don't think it's going
Yeah,
to
I
get to
hope
that
not.
point.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've
If
seen
it,
eight
if
men
it
out too many times too, but
Right, yeah. If it gets to that point, then they're definitely gonna have to probably cut it back. But I don't think we've seen any signs of any, scam in the games or even refs doing it either. So I think it's gonna be hopefully a good thing, just another way for the league to make money and for the players to make money too on the side.
and there's also one more thing that's it's not in this original copy, but I just remembered it because it came up on my Twitter feed. There's going to be another two-way spot. There's three
Uh,
two-way deals as part of the new CBA. It's currently two. Teams are going to
yeah,
have another two-way contract. So you're going to have guys that can split time with the G League and the big club, and you can have those converted. That seems when you got these fringe prospects and guys who have benefited. Alex Caruso was the
yeah,
first two-way player, and look at what he's become. Austin
right.
Reeves with the Lakers is a two-way player who I might be targeting in free agency. That's a future discussion.
Hmm.
But you got guys who can benefit from these. You add another spot like that, I
Yeah.
think you can add even more young talent and find a diamond in the rough.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's always a diamond off in those two way in those in the G League era. I was a product of the G League, so I definitely know about that. And I think just for the Bulls season this year, just with the injuries they've been going through, maybe if they added another two, where they could have found another point guard to come up here and bring him up and be able to show him up and get some minutes for him and get some experience, and maybe he could have been like you said, a diamond in the rough to help the team out.
Maybe we could have seen more Carlik Jones.
Yeah.
Still,
Mhm.
I mean, I would like to see more of him down the stretch here, but if they're going to be competitive for the play in, this is not the time to start playing your young players. But
Yeah.
it's good to have, like, if somebody gets hurt, he can shoot the ball, he can pass.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
during the year, if you had that other spot, you don't have to risk burning a two-way deal. If you have three, you can give him a big contract if you want him up on the big club full time, and you can add
Right.
someone else to a two-way contract. Like, I think it's going to be bigger for the G League guys that you hear about, and maybe they stay at the G League and because they don't have the spot, you're going to have a spot now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's always, like I said, good to give them that exposure. Their dream is always to play in the NBA, and that you can help them accomplish that dream, and they're good enough. You got to definitely sign them and give them that experience.
Now, just to clarify here, the CBA is not approved yet by the owners and whatever. Sounds like it's going to be. It sounds like just a formality. Like the fact that they had the deal in place before the deadline, like that bodes
Yeah,
well. And based on Woj and Shams' reporting, it sounds like a formality that it has to be approved by everybody. But
right.
I'm excited to see how this is. It seems like one of those landmark CBAs where you're going to have a lot of changes. Some have a lot of changes, some don't. And it does get a little too in the weeds with some of the business side. That's why I didn't talk about the salary cap stuff. That's when we cross that bridge, if we run into that down the road, we'll talk about it. But it's way too long-winded for a 25-30 minute show. But
Yeah,
all in
yeah.
all, I'm happy with this deal. Not too big of changes like how baseball's done with all their rules that I have my thoughts on. But
Right.
it's good changes where I think it's going to improve things. And that in-season tournament's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's definitely good for the game of basketball, just to grow the brand business aspect of it, and like I said, just continue to create more business owners as athletes, and just investing in the people and the product.
Definitely, especially in the W. I like seeing the growth of women's sports, women's basketball in particular, and we saw that in a big way this weekend. This is what I want to wrap up with because I feel like we both have thoughts on this. We're kind of in lockstep. I feel like with the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese situation. So let's back up here for anyone who somehow missed the women's Final Four. Really fun end of the tournament, I feel like. And I
Yeah,
mean, the viewership numbers were through the roof. Like you had a peak of, I think, 6 million watching Iowa, South Carolina. Like
yeah,
you had some really good games, high level talent. Caitlin Clark is one of the best players on the planet, men's or women's.
yeah, yeah,
Angel Reese is a great player as well. I think she was up there for All American. I think she was consensus All American as well. They're also two of the best trash talkers in the game. Like
yeah,
this is important here. They're two great trash talkers, and it's all over Twitter. Angel Reese did the "You Can't See Me" to
yeah,
Caitlin Clark, and people are calling it, classless, unsportsmanlike. I don't have a problem with this. It's very similar. We talked about it literally last week. Pat
yeah,
Bev called LeBron James too small. Thereafter, he got his own medicine because he had a bad game. He got called too small by Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. Now, Caitlin
yeah.
Clark did the "You Can't See Me" to Louisville in the Elite Eight. So to me, I don't have a problem with this.
Yeah, yeah, me neither. I think people forget that basketball is pretty much brought on by trash talking. In our
Right.
in the basketball culture, we play in the inner city or whatever. You play on the playground. Trash talking is a part of the game. As long as it doesn't get physical to where you're fighting and things like that, you always have your good and bad moments, but you always have your chance to get back at the other person. And I think the stuff was just taken out of context. I feel like and it's always two double standard when women talk trash. They can't do it, or they're aggressive, or they're a whole bunch of different names or whatever. So, but I think it's definitely they should let them play, let them trash talk as a part of the game. Don't be offensive, don't take it offensive. And I think maybe one part where Angel Reese maybe did go too far, where she was like kind of just walking towards Caitlin Clark and pointing to her finger, and that was probably too far. But I agree with all the taunting and trash talking. It makes the game fun. It makes you for wanting to watch it more, and like it makes you not want to lose because you don't want to get trash talked about. You want to do the trash talking. So I definitely think it's a part of the game, and it's definitely double standard. But I think it's definitely makes the game fun. People just are just too sensitive, I feel like.
I love it because one of the things we love about Patrick Beverly is that he talks trash. And
Yeah,
I've been looking forward to talking about this since this happened. Like it's too much to put on Twitter in the
yeah,
the space that you have and in writing. the way I write, I'm long-winded. There's no way I
All
can fit all this into a
right.
post. But,
All right.
you know, they talk about Caitlin Clark did this during the Elite Eight against Louisville. And everybody says, oh, wow, LSU won the game. Why is she taunting them? I would like to point out Iowa won that game 97-83 over
Yeah.
Louisville. So they knew the game was won, and she still did this. Like, great, talk your
Right.
trash. Fine, you're winning the game.
Yeah.
LSU, Angel Reese is one of the best trash talkers in women's college basketball. I was looking forward to this coming in. Like, you've got Caitlin Clark talking her trash, Angel Reese talking
Right.
hers. I was more excited about that than the game itself,
Right. Yeah.
honestly. So, yeah, Angel Reese did it right back. And yes, LSU won convincingly. I
Mhm.
have zero problems with this. If Caitlin Clark didn't do it against Louisville, I think it'd be a different spin on it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, what did she do anything? No, she did it first. I love
Right.
it. I think it, and you got a lot of people talking about women's basketball too. I love that. The discussion, it is what it is. You got
Yeah.
people talking about women's basketball right now. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
from a PR standpoint. I took a PR class in college. I still remember all of it. You've
Right.
got it out there. Like, this is,
Yeah. Yeah.
I have zero problem with it. I think they're two great players that are very competitive. And I just go back to last week. We talked about Patrick Beverly doing the same thing, having the same thing happen. Nobody had an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I feel like, like I said, karma comes back around, and Pat Bev did to LeBron, and now, a couple of days later, he got the same treatment. When guys did it to him, and there was no hard feelings. I don't feel like, it's just part of the game. I think with the women's aspect, a lot of it has to do with race, which I don't like to bring up, but it could be that. But I think, like you said, it's just part of the game. Trash talking, people are just too sensitive, need to get over it and just move on. I don't think the woman had any hard feelings towards it. Caitlin Clark is a great player. She knows if she would have won, she probably would have did the same thing. So I think, she didn't have any hard feelings after the game. Definitely mad that she lost, but I don't think she was, even any bitter about it than she was if she would have did it on the other hand. So
If you dish it, you got to take it. And I
yeah,
think
for
both,
sure.
I think both players do. I think it's all just part of the game.
Yeah,
And I'm just glad we were able to talk about this and air this out, because that's a really big discussion point right
yeah,
now.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
If they weren't two great players, if it was someone you'd never heard of, maybe the
right.
conversation's different. You got the two best players on the two best teams playing in the top game in women's basketball.
Yeah,
No problem with it. Congratulations to LSU on their first
mhm.
national championship. Caitlin Clark, I want on the Chicago Sky. I want the Sky to lose every freaking game next year to go get Caitlin Clark. Like, I'm full on tank,
Right.
and I'm all in. But going back to the Bulls here real quick. Play-in hopes. They're coming up. They're close. They're close to the play-in tournament. Gonna see what happens here on Thursday, and for Friday's show, I should say. And we're gonna be getting ready for play-in basketball. And we're going to wrap up today's episode of Believe in Bulls on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. Use that promo code BLEAV, 50% welcome bonus, and buy our shirt. I wore it today. Jordan Pippen 98 The Last Dance. Shop.believe.com. Links in my bio. This is a really nice shirt. It's getting warmer around
Mhm.
Chicagoland and in Illinois. CJ, we're going to have more fun later in the week, and we're not going to have as much business stuff to talk about with CBA. We're going to be looking ahead, hopefully, just going to knock on wood here, talk about the play-in tournament, maybe some playoffs.
Yeah, hopefully the Bulls, come through and close out this four games on a win streak and go confident to the playoffs, playing tournament.
Keep this thing rolling, and no more
Yep.
20-point comebacks, please. Not
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
It was fine
No,
before.
yeah.
Not now.
Not now.
We'll see everybody back here on Friday. Enjoy the week of basketball.